Let me just see if hopefully this should be working fine now. Fucking hell. Honestly. Right. Okay. We are here. Yes, we are. Checking. 1 2 1 2 1 2 1 2 1 2 1 2 1 2 1 2 we had a little friend of moon. And they say that it's well worth doing as well. So, guys, I am here. I'm just making sure that my audio is working okay. And they say that it's well worth doing. Perfect. Cool. It's working fine. All right. Okay, guys. So, hello, guys. Evening. Hope everybody is doing good. I'm here for your enjoyment tonight, guys. I'm got updates to tell you and stories of love and hate and relationships. I wish I did. I wish, but no, I don't. So, guys, it's been a while. Haven't been on the page for a while. A YouTube page again. Busy times again, guys. But anyway, guys, I just wanted to come on here and just come on and have a little talk to you guys tonight. Since I miss YouTube a lot, I do miss YouTube a lot actually. So you want to get your questions in, guys, tonight? You can. We'll be here for about an hour at least, because I have no plans and I have a night free. And I'm not drinking tonight either, which is a bit of a strange thing for me. I had 3 cans last night, but I'm not actually drinking tonight when I should be, but I'm not. So no booze tonight, guys. Trying to save me energy for tomorrow, because tomorrow I have a well, I've got a good weekend actually, which is good. But anyway, guys, I'll just give you an update what's been going on. So as you all know, I have been busy working with the label again, and I've been really busy. Just on live stream on the Facebook page tonight. So if you guys want to see that live stream, you can. If you haven't liked the page of ST Entertainment, please go and like it. So much stuff has been happening since the last time I spoke to you guys. It's been a crazy few weeks. I have. Do I have any? No, I don't have any Mysterious Wonder. Mysterious Wonder, the video that was posted on my page and onto Audacious page, has been receiving outstanding views on it. It has been gratefully received. Everybody is loving that video so much. So thank you very much to everybody liking that video and watching it. It's been a tremendous success. Another great one in the bag there, including Mabus Days by Lauren Short, who, as you all know, is about to re-release this album again. Just going to be talking about it later. So I've got some Queen stuff to tell you guys, which is interesting. I have been, I'm going to talk about the Adam rubbish stuff. I want to talk about singles that I've just been in my collection again. And I've been contacted by a friend of mine who is from the Northeast, who's been trawling in his archives of Queen singles and tracks and touring singles I haven't got. And he's been looking into getting some stuff for me for It's me being a big Queen fan. I've been getting me some touring singles and stuff, so that's been a great thing. And so it's really amazing how somebody can actually give me some stuff, which is really tremendous. So the other thing that's been happening is there's been a lot of changes since stuff's been going on. Not with myself, but just with in general. Things are changing a bit now. We've just been releasing stuff, CDs that we are trying to get out this time. But this is what I want to talk about tonight is the DVD release of Tam Riders, or Superb Talent Part 1. The DVD is finally going to be out, guys, at the end of this month. It's nearly done. It's almost finished. And I have been editing that very well. It's been saved very well. And I am just waiting now to burn the DVD. But we've come to a bit of a problem. We have to try and design our cover now. And our cover sleeve is going to be designed so for the DVD release. And we're not bringing it out in standard DVD cases. We're bringing it out in these small little pieces about this size, which are very, very similar to CD cases like this, but they're kind of pretty much the smaller size. So you'd have it like sort of like that size for it. So it'd be that size. But they're very, very, very unique little things. So those will be in your hands. And we're selling the DVD at £6. Full uncut version will be available, including full all the music. That's all in the DVD. And finally got some stuff sorted out with other bits that I'm allowed to use, which is great. And including Lauren's brilliant through her music career, and how Challenge became a great success. It was just superb. And I've been actually filming the second part of that documentary. I've been doing some new refilmings and stuff, and it's been a really tremendous idea. So I started doing the second part just last week, and I've refilmed bits and I've done new intros and new things on it, and it's sounding tremendous. Sounding absolutely great. So Dacia's on that as well now. Dacia's auditions on there as well, so she's got an interview coming up soon. And I look forward to sharing this with you guys. Part 2 will be out at the end of the year, so you guys can see the second part of it, which will be again a condensed version of it, so you guys can see the condensed version of the Superb Talent 2. And we're also got plans to make more videos, music videos soon. And so far, things have been going really well. The label's been doing really well. We've got more stuff coming up. We might be able to get ourselves on DistroKid really soon. I've still got to look into getting it all ready, and it's DistroKids is such a pain in the ass to run. So but we want to try and get like this on a new restitched version and secret voice and all this business. But again, DistroKid will not allow me to do that. It's got to be paid for by the artist itself, which is a bit of a pain in the ass. So it's a bit of a shame. So never mind. But yeah, that's the only option you're going to get it for. So CDs is the only thing, the way to go. But yeah, I had a great time editing that Mysterious Wonder video. Me and Dacia went through the whole process of editing it, and it was really, it took so long to do. And she filmed all that in America, in the USA, and she did a really good job of it. She did a great job of the DVD. It was absolutely tremendous. The DVD, sorry, the video was really tremendous. It took 2 days shoot, but it then was like a weekend shoot after that. So it was like kind of like a week and a bit when it was filmed. And so that was a great thing to really edit that very cleverly and very, very, very to just touched up perfectly. So I've been writing again. I've been producing again. I've been musicking again, and it's been really actually it's been interesting. We're actually doing with Generating Life is the one that Dacia's releasing first as her album, and we're bringing out the single Generating Life, and that will be coming out at the middle of next month, after her vacation time is over. And we've been looking through the songs for the album, and she loves every single song of it. It's absolutely great. Especially One of a Kind is so good. And so, yeah, my time is basically just now concentrating on music side. Not interested in the Queen stuff now, really. It's all on the wall. But I've always, I mean, if there's people like Mark Bryden, who you guys all know that Mark is a massive Queen fan, and he's been doing all right. He's been doing well. He's just trying to get himself sorted out with a new move in place and everything going on. And Devon's going to see now. And a few days ago, he had been in touch. Said, once I get all sorted out with the new flat and everything, I want to go. Devon, what are you doing? I want to go back and I want to update my Queen collection. Well, I've explained to him already that obviously I don't have a laptop. I don't have any plans to get a laptop. So when the time comes, maybe Mark will get a laptop anyway, and see how that goes. So hopefully, if that goes all right, we'll get a laptop and we'll start filming again. But I won't be uploading it on my channel, and I really haven't got the time to edit it either, because I've got so many things on at the minute. So basically, we're going to be. I think he's going to open up his own channel on YouTube and upload his own version of stuff. So we'll see how that goes anyway. We don't know, as I said, we don't know what's happening yet. We'll keep you guys updated about that, and we'll let you know. Other stuff going on. I was going to do it. I'll tell you, mate, because you guys can't hear me speak. Okay, there was something was in my brain a couple of weeks ago, and a few years ago, when I'm talking probably a lifetime ago, I did a video of my Queen collection, the first Queen collection that I did, and I wanted to do an update of those Italy versions, the bootlegged, the fake discs, the Italy versions of those bootleg ones, which were which was Live at Wembley '86. It was also the Miracle and Innuendo, the three that were totally fake versions of it, with the sound was just terrible in it. So I might as well do it on here actually, because it'd be easier to do. I'll have to get this out first though, guys. So give me a second. Get downstairs now. You go. Hi, okay. I can't be bothered looking for the Wembley one. The Wembley one I've lost. So it is somewhere, but the Wembley one's lost. So can't do Wembley, guys. So I've got two of them anyway, which is the fake CDs. So I'm going to give you a bit of a backstory about these ones. It's an interesting story, actually. This one, very interesting. Adrian, hello, Adrian. How's you? I'm doing good, man. Doing good. I've got a Jeff Scott Soto update, actually. Something that I've got to tell you, which is good. But I'm going to get to these first. So, yeah, I'm going to get to these versions of the Innuendo and Queen's crappy version of the Miracle. I explain about that as well because that's cool. But yeah, man, I'm doing good. Doing good. I see you got a Discord chat now. I really haven't got time to go on Discord, mate. I'm just busy doing other things at the minute, so my time is always busy. So that's good. Okay, I'm just going to check some messages. Okay, so I'm going to explain backstory about these versions of Innuendo and the Miracle. These two pirated versions. These are right. So these. Devon's in the mood. She's Devon's in a silly mood today. She's in a silly mood. She's been banging things around and doing things, and whatever she's doing anyway. But all right, so nice weather. Been cloudy earlier, nice. It's been actually not too bad today. It hasn't been perishingly hot. It's been okay here, which has been not bad. All right, that's been just big. Okay. So about 2008, my first Queen collection was uploaded on this channel. And as you all know, I reviewed these two fake versions of Innuendo and the Miracle. Now, I want to explain. I've I've got some news about these things. It took so long to try and get this researched a lot. So apparently, according to Discogs, I don't even believe Discogs for a second, but actually I think I do now. So around about 1997, I think it was 1997. I think it was 97. Between that time, they were just reissuing out the Queen albums. There had been a a bootleg company was starting to doing piracies of fake CDs and fake bootlegged versions of albums. And this leads into Queen's The Miracle and Innuendo. Now, as you all know, the original album came out in 1989, and it was their second to last album before Innuendo came out. Now, this is what bemuses me about this, is that originally, if you look on Discogs, they got the original scans, all the original ones that they had quite a while back. Now, what happened was, and this is bizarre, when the original album was released, it was still available in HMV shops, and a couple of years prior to released, it was reissued again in a new version, and just the same as before. It priced at $11.99 originally. What at the time, and I'm glad that I've researched this, guys, because nobody in this whole idea has done this. At the time when EMI had just gone into different things going on in the UK, you know, there have been a lot of things going on with EMI at the time where they had to change logos and change bits over, and everything was just a bit like going great for the UK market. And they closed down the plants, the CD manufacturing plants in the UK, which was done at Swindon. And EMI Swindon was where they did all of the glass manufacturing for the discs. And it's according to Discogs, when they were doing all the manufacturing for the CDs in Swindon, that they closed it completely after that in 1995. And then EMI Holland had just, or Uden, EMI Uden had got the new agreement to start reproducing the discs for Queen in a way. When the remastered series came out in 1993, 1994, in the year 2000, they were reissued again, but they were all EMI Uden ones. They just basically reproduced them that way. They weren't remastered; they were just terrible versions. Because I had a lot of them that were from Holland and from everywhere else, and I could tell by the back of them, obviously, that I've just said printed in Italy, printed in Holland, whatever it was. And the original UK ones were all done at Swindon, and some of them were done in Uden, EMI Uden, which was the biggest plant ever in Holland. It's not anymore though. Until it was bought out by Media Motion, bought them out. So how do these come into it? How do these come into it? Right, this is a very interesting. Now, in the 2000s, Queen's Code just been reissued again with the Queen new Japanese versions that came out, and the Americans came out reissued again. So Hollywood Records have brought theirs out, and they reissued for the first time remastered version of Innuendo and Miracle album. Then a 25 years box set comes out, and then this all happened overseas. In 2001, the Japanese reissued, completely remastered the whole CDs, the black versions first, and then 2003 came the silver editions that came out with the silver OB strips and everything else. This is where this comes in. Very interesting. This is. So you can definitely tell these two are not the original CDs at all. First of all, this one is brighter than the original, as you can tell. So this is a brighter version of the Miracle album with this supposed to be original back. It's not. It's very badly done. This my camera's shit as well. So that was the first one that came out. I wish I could find my other one that came out, and then this one came out afterwards. This one, which is the supposed to be original back. It's not. It's really, really it's a fake. It's fake back. It's totally fake. These are fake. Now, how the hell did these get into the UK is interesting. What they did was actually, if I look at the disc first, this is interesting. This okay. So according to these, you would think that these have got the original EMI Swindon and EMI things and everything else. Well, they don't actually identify where it's from. So apparently, there was a how these got into the UK was interesting. So what happened was in the year 2000 or 2001, between that time, first of all, HMV didn't even know that these actually were sold into the shops. The barcodes they scanned in came up as, you would think they would be the authentic price, but it isn't, because the barcode on both of these are a little bit similar to them anyway. So you've got this one as the first one, and you've got that one as the second one. Okay, they look very similar, very similar. Now, first of all, the barcodes are completely, utterly fake. These are fake, totally fake. They don't actually identify anything about it on Discogs. They say apparently that it is counterfeit. And they are not the legit versions. They're not even legit sound. Because the Miracle sounds really quiet, and Innuendo sounds like crap. Because it sounds not pretty good at all. It sounds like it's big, sort of decrease the volume down, way down on it, and even like, because Innuendo sounds like just like nothing. There's no bass in it or anything. There's no like enhanced music on it. And then when you get to playing the Miracles album, that's even worse. You can't even hear anything on it. It's just like, it's like that quiet. You got to turn your system up so loud. It doesn't even, it's dreadful on it. And so it's very interesting. So these are like they are professionally machinely done. They're supposed to be. They're cloned from the original CDs that were done by Swindon. So they cloned the discs over, but they changed the numbers inside the CD spindle to make it authentically match the same version. And it's not the same. And it's and according to research from Discog's side, that these were not meant to be sold. These were counterfeit. The Miracle one first is all being edited in Photoshop. So they scanned in the original. They basically made the company that because I'll get the company in a minute, by the way, because it's very interesting. The company that did this, they just basically scanned in the original artwork on very good quality paper, which is to me not very good at all. And they just basically overpasted that, and they just deleted out the country of state manufacturer thing on that as well. So that was terribly done that way. So that was one thing. And on the back sleeve of this one, you've got supposed to be the Parlophone logo on there. What they did was just pasted over that, and they just basically just didn't want you to know that was there anyway. And it misses off the Parlophone label. The Parlophone thing's missing off this as well. This is why you can see it that way. And you've got this weird mark in it, apparently, which is totally not even genuine. That's apparently a print error. It's a print problem. There's been a print error with this. Again, flimsy card, flimsy piece. The booklets look like they were really done, very cleverly done, but they're not. They're really been just like the Photoshop they've done on it. It just doesn't feel authentic enough. Even the discs are like supposed to be genuine sound, and it looks like you would think that would be an EMI print. That's not. It's just total fake. It's total fake one. So now this is the interesting thing. This is the very interesting thing. Now, if you look at the original CD on Discogs for Miracle and for these, okay, they are genuine. They're genuine because they are darker than these ones. These have been printed from a. It's really clever to do this. They printed the disc through a machine, and what they did was they just burned the disc anyway. They just think it was authentic. They basically just wanted to feel like it was a real CD, but it's not. It's totally a fake CD. Booklet's absolutely, genuinely fake. It misses out some text in it. Lyrics are wrong. Even Innuendo's lyrics are totally wrong, and these are just awful. Now, so who did these? Right, this is the interesting thing. Okay, there was a company. There was a piracy company in Italy that were doing these at the time. If you remember if you can remember at the time, they started bringing out Queen and Noose, Queen Preordained, which was apparently they were terrible CDs. Well, apparently there was a bootleg company in Italy that never existed. That was never ever, and I know this definitely was true. There was never a Parlophone in Italy. There was never one. They just substituted the label on the disc to substitute it to think it was an authentic one. Now, in one respect, now HMV could have got sued for this because they weren't allowed to sell these, and they don't identify the same number that's on the original CD itself. So it's like 7923572, and it's like, was it 795887? And I'm thinking that's not right. That's not the same as the CD. So they were basically just bootlegging these and just making their own versions of it. So the people who did these went out of business. I'm glad they did, actually. We're just basically making their versions like on high quality paper through a laserjet printer, high quality laserjet printer, and even realizing that was supposed to be the genuine CD, but it's not. It's been the sources they've used for the sound itself. They've used like a clone of clones over the original CD, but turned it down more. It's a bit naff. So the people who did this apparently they got caught out exactly what was happening. And HMV realized that they got the original CD back in. Wait, this is before the remasters came out, and this is way before the remasters were done. They didn't have money at the time, and they were thinking, "Oh, we'll just bring out a new version of Innuendo and Miracle and see if that works." But they didn't really, because all they did was just basically substituted it for the fake ones to the real ones. And it goes the same for the that TV spot one, that the Live Wembley that I've still got. I can't find it. That's also a fake as well, and that number doesn't match the same numbers as what's on there, because it comes up as unknown. It doesn't know where it's from. So it cost me over a couple of days ago, and I thought, oh, I know what I'll do. I'll do this as an update on the video, and I thought, right, we'll do that, and we'll say, yeah, it is. So it looks to me like Music Zone, who originally were importing these discs, bought these, but when they scanned it in, when they barcoded it, it doesn't identify it. When you scan it in, there's normally a price on that. They've overpasted the price on this, apparently. They've charged more for tax issues to that. I mean, the other thing that gets me is it says FPM 518, FPM 518 on both of them. Then you've got I070, UK doesn't identify itself. printing in Italy, and then you've got it's supposed to be claiming, it's supposed to be saying place of manufacturer, stated on label, marketed and distributed by EMI. Right. So first of all, it's totally absolute lies, because basically there was never ever a Parlophone in Italy. There was never an EMI in Italy either. And I've checked every single disc from Italy, and they're just fake. They're just totally fake. Those ones are absolutely 100% fake. Nobody in YouTube land gave me an answer, but when I researched it, I thought, so they were basically bootlegging these ones. So they were charging more for the price. So they would think they were paying $11.99 for the disc, but then you go at the HMV, they're paying $16.99 for the disc. So they were charging more for tax exile problem for it. And I think they produced about a bundle, loads of these were produced in Italy, and they were just bootlegs, because as SAIE is just a bootleg stamp. So really, you think it's genuine, but it's not. It's because the royalty rights, I think the royalty rights were, let me just see here. The royalty rights were, well, Beam and SIAIE is, Beam is, BM, as a BM is the music publishing in Italy. Queen have not got a publishing contract in Italy at all. Apparently it says it's been published in the UK, but apparently it's not a genuine disc. Neither is this one. There's Innuendo, terrible. I think this one's probably the worst one. This has probably got, I mean it has got a license code in it, a license code of 0299. This one doesn't have a license. Oh, yes, actually, it does have a license code of 0299. So there must be bootlegging a lot of these. I mean, this one's just awful, this disc. But both discs, anyway, are totally rubbish. Well, one of Devon in, because Devon's barking again, so give me 2 seconds, guys. Lie down so I can do me thing. Thank you. Right, okay. This is me tonight, guys. I'm just basically here for a chat and just doing that. Adrian says, definitely fake discs. They are. These are just totally just junk. But the new versions that came out of Queen, when they remastered them in 2011, they were improved a lot. They were much better than these piece of shit things. But the other thing that I was going to say was about my Wembley one. That I wish I could find that one somewhere. The Wembley one, again, is from the same people that did this one, and they mix-matched the discs up. Well, apparently they're supposed to have had, but they're not. They've been badly produced. Sound quality is really bad. It sounds like a terrible kettle that's boiling in a kitchen. Just like thing. Look at the dog, Tez. Oh, Devon. I know, she's fine. She's okay. She's allowed to have that. That's her blankie. Yeah, she's just because she likes to chew it. She likes to chew it because she just likes to get her own thing for it. Okay. Now I just got sort of information. I think last time I spoke to you, Adrian, was a while back now. You probably might have heard that they've been reissuing. They've been Sunhill in Sweden, the label. They have been starting to reissue the albums of Talismans on vinyl. And if you heard that track Never Die, the last one that they did special for Marcel, that was reissued on 7-inch single backed with I'll Be Waiting, which was completely remaster of it, which is well improved. And actually, at the same time, when Never Die came out, it was I didn't think it was going to be actually a good success, but it did. And I heard it the first time, and I loved the way when Jeff originally wrote it, because he was allowed to write the lyrics about the whole scenario with Talisman. And I think while they were recording that song, because Pontus Norgren was producing it as well with Edu Cominato, I think he did it. I think they had a vibe. There was a rumor going around that Talisman was going to be back together, because they did another track that they never released, and but basically their label that they were on, well, Jeff was signed to, which was before the Frontiers thing came around, and I'll get to that in a minute as well. I will get to that in a second, actually, about that Frontiers business. When Sun Hill asked them to record this song, they just basically went in with Pontus and wanted to just produce it themselves, and I'm glad they did that. And they didn't want to be messing it up, and so they got it out on 7-inch single, only on 7-inch single. It wasn't even for digital download, and they just wanted to release it on 7-inch single. And when after that happened, Richard Mace, designer of the artworks, was given a massive task to recreate the new versions of Talisman albums with Jeff. And what happened was, this is a very interesting story. As they were doing the new versions for the albums and artworks and everything else, Sun Hill asked, they didn't ask Jeff because Jeff was touring at the time. They asked Pontus, and they asked the original guitarist, Frederick Orkinson. Those two guys. They asked them if they could, if they had the master tapes of the tracks, they would go back in and re-record some of the songs. So what they did was they, Time After Time was completely revisited. They went back in, they took off the original guitars, and they redid the parts for the ends, and that's why Time After Time sounds nice and fresh. And so Frederick Orkinson and Pontus went in, and they went in and completely remixed those songs. So they were Time After Time revisited, and Just Between Us revisited as well. And they tried it out first to test it to see if it would work. When it came out in the bonus tracks for the CD version, they then said, "Oh, we like this idea. Can you do some more for us?" And they went back in again, and they did more and more and more, and it was really good success, and that was really released on Spotify at the same time when they were just getting it all sorted out, and Jeff wasn't involved at all. He was not involved in that, in the remasters or the reissues. They gave his approval for it. They just said, Sun Hill's got the master tapes, and they want to go back in and redo it. And they bought the whole catalog, and because they didn't want, there was some deal happened. I think they were distributing it out. I think some other label was going to try and do it, and at the time that he was with Sons of Apollo, that was going on really well. I think Frontiers had got in touch with him. I think Serafino had got in touch, and he because he had a bad reputation with ear music in Belgium. He had a bad reputation with them guys. He had a very bad argument with them. And he had a very bad argument. He didn't like the way that they didn't promote his album very well. The first one, Inside the Vertigo, he didn't promote it very well. He was so annoyed with it, and he said how comes that my album has sold low sales in this and people aren't digging it? And it wasn't even actually Jeff's. This wasn't Jeff's thing. It was it was E Music, and that's why I think a lot of people have left E Music now, because they got sick of their reputation as being a working class label. And Jeff just really got pissed off with it, and he said, "Well, if that doesn't work, I'll do another album." And then he did that Divac one, and that came out on E Music, and that was another tongue-in-cheek kind of thing. And he got sick of it. He got sick of not getting recognized for what he was doing. So then the final straw was when he said, "Right, well, guys, I can't work with you. I can't work with this label. This is not working out for me at all. I'm going to have to look for some other label that's going to work with me on the band situation." So that contract ended. He went back to Frontiers Records to ask them if the band would sign on the label. And that was a bit of a thing. And they said that we don't want your band to sign because it's very heavy. We wanted to keep with the reputation of the melodic sort of side and what you were doing at the time. And this is how the Frontiers thing came back in. So I think he was due to do, because this is how the Howie Simon thing came around. Because I think Jeff said to him, "There's a guitarist that hasn't could do something great on our album." And they've been very good friends for many, many years. So it's really weird how this came around. So apparently Howie didn't have any work. He had no work on it at all. What is it? Is it about now? Yeah, my Wi-Fi's gone weird. So the Howie Simon thing, the Howie Simon. So Jeff had said to Frontiers Records, Serafino, there's a great guitarist who really could do with deserving his music to what he likes to hear. And if we do a project together, would you sign me back? So this is weird. So first of all, I think Jeff had go in touch with Howie or something happened. And I think they were clashing a little bit, and there was some button heads, and they wanted to write some music together and write some songs. And then I think Jeff had got him in his studio in America, and I think he recorded some of the tracks, and then he gave them back to Frontiers Records, and he loved it. They said, "Oh, this is great." They said, "But how comes you're singing on it? Does Howie not sing?" And he said, "Oh, Howie sings, but it sounds great." But no, this is where the switch came through. This is where it came a little bit weird. So they said, "The guy's great guitarist, but we can't sign him." They don't know who he is. They don't know who this guy is. Because we never ever heard this guy before. And I said, "Well, he was on the Lost in Translation album. He did the whole album of that, and then he did My Tours that time." And then he went, "Oh, I remember that album, because that was the great album you did." I says, "Yeah, well, they want to do that." And they said, "Well, they're not going to be able to realize that that's not how we're going to be able to sell it. It's not going to be like a Howie Simon." It's weird. Howie Simon Retribution. And that's what it was going to be. But after that, they turned around and they said, "To be honest with you, that's not going to work." And they tried Howie Simon featuring Jeff Scott Soto, and that was going to be Retribution. And they said that'll work. Oh, well, wait a minute. He's the guitarist, and you're the main lead vocalist for it. so it was a fault again. And then they said, well, I think it was Jeff's idea, or something said. Oh no, actually, it was Record Company's idea. They said, "Well, if that's not going to work, then how about if we label it as JSS Retribution, Jeff Scott Soto Retribution. But this is where the argument happened. And he said, well, this is not a solo album. This isn't a solo album that I'm doing. It's a Howie Simon collaboration. And they said, well, we produce the songs, but I'm not doing the lead vocals on this. But I want to think that he's singing on this album, but how he can sing, but I've got to meet mine in a way. So all this happened for a while now. See, I know all these things because this is interesting. And the final thing that they said was, right, we cannot market this album as Howie Simon. It's got to be done as it has to be you, because it's technically it's you singing. So we'll label it as Jeff Scott Soto Retribution. And he just had to say yes, okay, do it. And that's how that came around, and that's how the Howie Simon thing came around. And then, but Howie just said, and he goes, how comes it's Jeff's project and it's not mine? It's like it's like a collaboration together, because you're the guitarist and he's the lead. But he's got to be known for what he does for his music side, for the label side of it. And that's how he got re-signed back to Frontiers. And then, and that came out, and that it did okay. It didn't do much as that, because we're all thinking it was a Jeff Scott Soto album. It wasn't. It was a Howie Simon album thing. But they're all just thinking, you're right there. Come on, lay down. Oh, starting fireworks apparently, my dear. 2 seconds. No, you can't go in there, Dave. Let's go in Grandma's room. Oh, poor Devin. She can't go in there. Yeah. So that's how that came around. They didn't know who Howie Simon was. Yeah, exactly. That's what I mean. They just didn't know who he was. They just didn't. They knew him from like the tours and everything, but he wasn't a lead for it though. They couldn't market it that way. So that's the reason why it was. We know who he is, but they didn't know who he was. He just said, "Well, that's not going to work. That's because that's going to be like what." So that's how that came around. That's tied to Howie Simon album, not a Jeff Scott Soto album. So that's the reason why that came around as well. And then I think after that happened, Soto got dropped by, I think Origami came out. He ended the contract with Ear Music, and he signed with another, Inside Out Music, and that didn't work. And then Sony got him, and he was happy to get the Sony deal. And he just said, because they went back to him, and he says, I've been messed around with so many labels, and my music's not being heard. And I said, I've got Sons of Apollo on Sony, and he went to Sony Records, and this is interesting. So the director of Sony said, I hear that your albums are not doing very well. They're not selling to what they need to be. And he says, yes, I understand. And he says that, and he said, because he goes on the scenario about saying apparently that, because I read this in an interview a while back, and it's interesting. And he says, Frontiers is my family, and I want to stay with that label because the label is that's my baby, because it's what I like to do. But they can't market Soto on Frontiers because the label is classed as metal, but we're like a harder metal. And he said Inside Out is just can't give a shit about them. And he said he's only about Sony. He said, well, if Sons of Apollo signed with Sony, can I keep this on Sony's side and keep it with this? And they said, if it works out well for Soto's side, let's do it. And that's how that came around. He just got signed on that time, and he said, right, we'll do it. And after that, his album came out and was a brilliant success, and it was great. And he said, I've got the reputation I need now. I mean, recently, he Actually, I don't know how this next one came around, because I think he went. I think he got a phone call. I think he got a voice. Some sort of meeting was arranged with Frontiers, and they called him. I think they called him that time, and I think they had. I think they said that your albums have been good, and Soto's doing great. Your whole band's brilliant. Is it? I think it's time that you should do another solo album for us, because we miss this. We miss the music that you used to do, because we miss that chemistry that you used to do with the other albums you did were brilliant. But we wondered if you want to work with Alessandro De Vecchio. And he said, yes, I'd love to work with him. So, and he went to Italy. I don't actually think you should call his vocals split in a way. And I think Alessandro sent tracks to him and sent ideas to him and loved the ideas, and then he just beefed away with it, and within a week it was done. And then Wide Awake My Dreamland came out, and that's the only album I haven't heard yet. I haven't heard that one, but Wide Awake My Dreamland was a great collaboration. That was a really good collaboration. That was very good indeed. And that's the sort of that we miss. That's the sort of we need. So this is all the AOR music and everything else, and that was it. And then right now he's rehearsing with the band, Sons of Apollo, and then he's back on tour now, which is brilliant. And but he did a 3-day shoot. No, 1-day shoot. 1-day shoot of all 3 videos in 1 day for his upcoming things. And just patchy life. He's had a very patchy life with record companies. He just couldn't be bothered with them. He just wanted, because Frontiers apparently promote them really well. They do. And Frontiers just stretch them to so well. And they always keep saying that they should do albums with various producers and everything else. But since he's got it, he's brilliant. I'm looking at it, we just since the thing started because of no live. Yeah, I know, with this COVID crap going on. It's been a hard year. But yeah, there's more stories to tell you as well. And the Gary Shutt thing, what was it called? What's the album he did with them? Metal something. Metal. Oh, what the hell was it called? The bloody album. What the fuck was it called? What was it called? Human Metal something? Metal something? Human? Okay, what the hell was it called? With the one with the heart on it. That album anyway. So I think Gary had just got his own studio in his own home. And because Takara had finished at the time, and he left Takara, and he worked on Sentimental. That's what it's called. That's what's called Sentimental. In 1994, so Takara had, I think Takara had kind of a break. I think they had because between the projects he was doing, and Gary, I think he called up Jeff and he just said, "I've got some songs here that I'd like you to try out as a great idea." And Gary played everything on that album. I think the album was brilliant. Fault Line was that's the track I'll talk about. Actually, I'll talk about that song. Very, very clever. I think he was still with Axel at the time, Axel Rudy Pell, and he wanted the flavor of the AOR flavor music in a way. And Stranded, to me, Stranded is one hell of a song. What pure 80s at its best. But yeah, the 11-minute track, I'll get the fault line. I'll talk about that. I know, and there's a lot of stuff about that song. So Gary had his own studio. He still has it to this day, actually, in America. He's a brilliant guitarist and multi-instrumentalist guy, drummers and everything else. And so when I heard that, there was a hoo-ha, a hoo-ha of who was going to release it. This is where the Japanese label came in. Long Island came into this, which was Long Island Music Company, which is based in America. But yeah, Fault Line was a Fault Line's amazing. Great 80s great 80s sound on that, great bass on that. And one of a clever song. I think that's probably one of Jeff's best singing on that as well, because he soars up the ranges on that track. And it's a weird time signature in the song. You would think it was basically a 6/8 kind of track. It's very weird how the time signature's weird. But yeah, Fault Line was really interesting. How it was just, I mean, it suffers a bit of the drums. The drums are a bit shit, but the guitar is amazing. And that was one of the songs that they had in progress. They just, because I think Gary said, I've got this 11th song, I want to try it out something and see what we can work on it. And I think he was, because he was producing with them at the time, he was producing the album. And I think that track's just tremendous. I mean, I did something like that on this album from Lauren Short. I did called Challenge. I did something like that on that one, and that song's about 5 minutes long, which is pretty good. But he's got a good reputation as a good guitarist. He's very good, and so the first time I heard of him was when you played me Takara, whatever they call it anyway. Yeah, Takara's stuff really got to me that day. It really was. That's where I wrote Mavis Days in the style of that song, Passion of the Heart. So I actually I didn't nick it off him. I just basically did my version. Which I'm lucky I didn't get any issues with that song at all. So because that was my first writing, first official song I brought out with some great guitars in it, and even Lauren's cut that for her album as well, which is great. So Mavis Days, listen to Mavis Days, is brilliant. Some great guitars in there. And then because Takara was signed with Long Island anyway originally, before the band didn't split up. It's just because Jeff couldn't do it because he was due to do the last album in the 2000s, but he wasn't interested in doing it anymore. He just wanted to give away from it, and he had no plan. Takara was just his first outstanding making as a singer and a writer. He didn't base it on like spiritual belief or anything. It was just a band he wanted to put together and to make some great music. And like No Love's Enough, I Don't Believe, Two Hearts Together. That's what you call proper AOR stuff. Fucking brilliant. And Fallen Angel. What else was on that album? December. A bluesy kind of song. And Spotlight. No, Jeff, I have not nicked that song. I just love the lyrics to it. I just that night, out of the night. That's what you call proper fucking AOR stuff. Brilliant. So that was that band. But now here's another thing I'll tell you about Adrian. This is a very interesting one. This you'll never believe this at all, right? True story. And I've been researching this as well. So around about the time when Human Clay, I'll get to that as well. Interesting story. Let me do this one first. So around about the time Frontiers are doing really well for the music, Dennis Ward, a very amazing producer, American producer, he was doing an album with Chimera, and there had been some thing going on, and Jeff wrote a track which was never ever released. It was never ever released. It was never released, and it was later recorded for his offer to the Japanese for "You Can't Take Me Away From You," and I think Jeff had the song sidelined. I think he wrote it originally for those guys to do it first. So Chimera did "You Can't Take Me Away From You," and after Chimera recorded it, this is interesting, because he worked for Chimera. He didn't produce it though. It's a shame he didn't. I wish he had. But the Japanese company, I think it was Spun Gold. I think it was the company who did it. Frontiers wanted another track for the Japanese version, and they said, I think it's Serafino's idea actually. He said, "Jeff, there might be a Benny Bones track for the Japanese version." I said, "Have you got anything in mind?" He says, "No." He says, "Do you remember that track he did, that track he wrote with Chimera called You Can't Take Me?" He said, "Would you go and record that?" And because he said, "Oh yeah, I've totally forgot about that track, and I wrote it for that Chimera band." So he goes, he whips in the studio. He's in his home, recording his home, and he recorded it with the band, and then he presented it to Serafino and said, "We'll sit there on his Bones track on the Japanese version." And because Avalon couldn't distribute it out, they couldn't do it, but they gave it as a favor to from Chimera. It was a favor from Chimera to the Japanese label, and the Japanese went mad over that, and that was a great track. And that's how that came around. So that was cool. Human Clay. This is interesting. So around about the time of 1993, 1996, I think it was. I remember what year it was now. Human Clay was a very interesting project. So Marcel and Jeff were having a break away from Talisman stuff, and they wanted to work basically in America. And they went to what was the studio they used? It was Fantasy Studios in America, that was owned by the amazing talent of, what's his name? Sol Zandes, who ran Fantasy Records. And I think Jeff just wanted Marcel to come to the States just to work on a project that we're going to work on. So it was Van Padden Studio in America, next to Fantasy Records, and they just went there to start demoing some songs, even taking ideas from Talisman ideas as well, which was very rushly recorded. But they didn't have a drummer. So it was just Jeff, and it was just Marcel doing all the arrangements. They did all the guitars, they did all the bass bits, all the drums. The drums I'll get to in a minute. But they didn't have a drummer on the sessions. They did all the songs, but they didn't have a drummer. And they so they were engineering the album, and they were going nuts over this, and this is why it was a bit of a disaster for them, because they said this says, how comes we're using rubbish drums on this album and it doesn't work? And it's like, and he says, well, that's the only thing we can use. And I says, we don't have a drummer. We haven't got anything. Let's just use program drums instead. And that's just easy. Cheapest thing ever used. So they used a crappy machine. They used a terrible drum machine on it. At the time, remember, at the time, they didn't have any money, by the way, because they did it free. Basically, they did it for free, didn't for nothing. And it was a company in America. What was the fucking label? Seagull Records in America and Japan. They financed it. They financed they financed and paid for Jeff and Marcel just to go in the studio and just work on something. Drum machine, that's it. They just used this crappy drum machine. And they just was like, oh, we'll just put this on and we'll just do that and I'll play it. We'll go just like playing rhythms and just it's just so crap. But you know what? At the time, they didn't have the money at the time to do it. So anyway, so they go in, they start recording. Jeff does the opening, the ooze and everything. Sounds great. And then they do the first one, which is Golden Years. And I thought it was Bowie's song, but it wasn't. But the guitars were really good on it. Like the whole album, actually, what got me was the guitar sound. It was different. It was very different. I don't know what they were using. I don't even know what sort of sound they were using on the guitars, but they were bloody awesome. They were so dark and really grungy, and it was really, which is bizarre. But they still started doing the rough recordings. Then they were wanting to bring people on the songs and bring things in. So Malmsteen was near, and Jeff called Malmsteen and said, we can do this. Malmsteen gets involved, and he's local. And they bumped into each other one day, and they just said, "Oh, hey, and we." I said, "We're writing a song called Jealousy, and we want to make it like a uplifting kind of dark song, not to take the piss out of any other band, but." And I think he said, would you play on it? I says, yeah, sure, man, I'll come in and do it. Anyway, so this was so funny. So it's Marcel and there's Jeff sitting on the console, right? And he how long was he in for? I think about, he was in there for like 10 minutes. He goes in the studio for 10 minutes. He says, and I think probably from my mind, I think Jeff's probably going to go, right, we're doing this take right now, and here we go. Your solo comes in this part here, and then he's just sitting there, and they're just sitting back like this, and he just like, they can't believe that this is just happening live, and he just does it in one take. He goes, and then they play it back, and they go, that's amazing. Bye. That's it. And then he was never heard of ever again after that. That was it. He just didn't do it again. Then there was Brian Young, who did Now It's Time. Brian Young did Now It's Time. And the rest of them did the other songs as well. Now, what the interesting thing was, the two bonus tracks that I love. In the Line of Fire was Frederick Owen guitar. He was just called in. I think he was staying with Jeff in America somewhere, and he was called in to do the track on that one. And then he did the Eternal Flame as well. And Eternal Flame is so awesome. So so that's how he got involved with them as well, because he was just at the time doing that album. So when that first album was completed, they delivered the tracks over to Seagull, and they loved it. They said, we'll bring this out. The cover art was a bit weird. I couldn't understand what the cover art was about, but there's a reason why they've done that. They didn't want to know that Jeff and Marcel were on that album, because they kept it an unknown thing. They didn't know who it was. It's Human Clay. It's an interesting name. And they said, well, my son's drawn this. We've got this idea for it's like a sort of like we're in this capsule thing and we're in this back thing, and then they put on the front, and on the back side they put the band on the back. And I'm thinking, and they didn't want to see Jeff's. They didn't want to see who it was because they didn't want to see who was on it. But they looked at the back and they all go, "Oh, that's interesting. I'm not going to know who you are. This is interesting. This is a new thing." So that's how they did it. And then the second one, the Euphoria one that they did a year later to the first one, because the first one was roughly done. The second one was better, where they did live drums on it, live guitars, real things. Technically, I think I understand this from what they remembered and did. It was live sessions. Some of it was live, some of it was recorded. I think the only song they did live was in the studio was the song King of the Nation was done live. It was the only track that's done live in the studio in one take, live, which is very interesting. So the second Human Clay album was more heavier, definitely going back to the spirit of what it was doing. The only reason they were doing that is because they want, I mean, I think I understand this harder side to what it was, to let like as a Led Zeppelin kind of thing. But luckily, when that came out, it was well received. All the songs are great. What was after that? I'm just trying to figure out what we did after that. So we did that, Human Clay, and then it was ended, and then it finished, because then they were going back to Talisman territory. And I think after that, I think they did that Human Animal album. This is where this was, Adrian. This is weird. So 2000 comes up, and apparently Pontus was signed to a label in the UK, Z Records, which done melodic stuff, and it was just a really good label to be on. And he was just stuff for other bands and producing stuff as well, which he was doing. So anyway, he this was the first time. This was the first time he met. First time he met. First time he met Marcel. This is what happened. It's just the internet shit. Can't help it, mate. I can't do anything about it. It's mate, and it's just pants. So I don't know what it's doing. It's just being such an idiot. It's not my computer. Maybe it is my computer. So yeah, the 2000s. I'll just start again. I am on Virgin. I'm on a good connection, but my computer's just shit. Right, so going on to Human Animal now. The album Human Animal, not the thing. So what happened was, I think so Marcel and Jeff were thinking about doing another one-off collaboration together, and Marcel met Pontus Norgren in Sweden, and they didn't get along very well. They didn't get on very well at all. They did not. They were fighting, arguing. They were shouting. They were very, very annoyed. Marcel just didn't get on very well with Pontus at all. So what happened was with the Human Animal, not with the album, but just the project that they did, the one-off project. they just wanted to work. Well, I think Pontus wanted to work with Jeff again, and Jeff wanted Marcel to come on board and produce it. But a lot of arguments happened, just went to hell, and he didn't get on very well with Pontus at all. He absolutely hated Pontus so well. He just was he didn't like the chemistry. He didn't like the way he was doing things. He didn't like producing it. He hated producing the album. He hated it. That's why a lot of those bass riffs were Pontus's idea to direct and say, "Oh, play at this and play at this and play at this," and he says, "No, I'll play how I play." And he was pissed off with it. So anyway, so Jeff was suffering from vocals. His vocals were suffering a bit. He was in bad shape. His vocals were really suffering. The very first thing they recorded was a song called "Are You?" No, it's not. It was "Found My Way Home," which was a complete rip-off another song. But Jeff suffered badly on the vocals. His voice started to rap a lot, being raspy. So they had to do something with the voice and that. It was only not just that track. There was the first one he did. And after the session, Jeff had to go in for therapy and get his voice trained up and get his voice back to normal, he suffered badly on that song. And had a bad throat that day. And then I think after he healed a couple of days later, I think after he went back in and started to record the album, and it was really good. Best album from Townsend is Human Animal. Human Animal's a great album. It's a very clever album. That it's very. I think it's very a tribute. I think it's a tribute to everything, especially Paul Rodgers and the what do you call that? What do you call it? I think that was Talisman at their best. That album, non-stop, is brilliant. Tainted Pages. What else is on that album? Christ, what's on the album now? Colour My Ecstasy. Fabricated War. Yeah. Which, in fact, is interesting. And I've got another great story about them as well. All I Want, yeah. And including the... well, Jeff's not Spanish anyway. He doesn't know how to do Spanish. He's absolutely terrible at Spanish. So he just made words up that didn't make any sense. He didn't make sense. All I Want's a good ballad. That's a good rock ballad. That nice ballad that is. Yeah. And then I think they did an extra EP of that. The extra one was the extra EP was just extra songs they had. Originally, it was going to be a double album, but it was way too expensive. So they decided to split the album from Human Animal Part 1 and Human Animal Part 2. Then what they did later on, they remastered it and reissued it as Human Animal Part 1 and 2 on 2 discs anyway. That's what it was. And Animal Ritual was recorded at that time. You Can't Seek Refuge in the Multiple thing, whatever it's called. And one of my favorite tracks that I still to this day love, I wish to God I could record that track, was My Best Friend's Girl. Fucking love that song. And Dear God, dedicated to Paul Rodgers, brilliant. And yeah, it's a damn good album. It's a good album. Heavy album, that. Very heavy. very heavy. And there's a lot of nice things on that, including like a nice tribute to Sam Cooke as well on that thing. And but it's a good album, that one. I think the weakest album, weakest Talisman album, don't want to really say too much about it, but I think it's got to be Cats and Dogs. It's, I think they just went on a weird trip of nothing grasped very good. I think that just all went to hell, that album. It was not one of their best ones. When they did 7, the final one they ever did, I thought that album was tremendous. 7 was tremendous. That was just brilliant. That was that was superb. Especially Nevermore. My favorite song ever is Shed a Tear Goodbye. I just love the guitars in that song. That's Queen. Fantastic. And actually them sessions that they did, they wrote a song for Serafino, which was called On My Way. That was about him. That was about his journey in the music industry and how he made the success. And it was, and I listened to that the first time around and I went, oh, that's about Serafino, that. I thought, oh, that's interesting. I didn't even know. And it's actually hidden in the CD. When it goes On My Way for Serafino. And I thought, oh, that's brilliant. And that's a good compliment to him as well. And he knows that he does things right, especially with myself as well, which I write stuff like that. But it's a hell of a rock album. That is a hell of a rock album. It's brilliant how I think Pontus. I think they wanted Pontus to mix it, but as long as there wasn't any confrontation with Pontus and Marcel again, because they made up anyway, because they realized that the Human Animal album was not really their best work. It was, but wasn't really the standing things. But they said, but I think the idea was to gel back in again and go, we want to make this our last album and make this a special album we want to do, because we feel that we've lost a bit of that Talisman spirit to every song we've done. We haven't expressed anything in this album, but we'd like to give you the job of mixing it if possible, make it a great album. And he did a great job. He did a great job of that. Guitars was fantastic and just everything else. So I've got one more story to tell you, Andy. Hope you enjoying these, by the way. I'm loving this. This is this is the final one I'll tell you about. It's a pretty sad one, but it's a pulse in a way. It's regarded as a very clever thing. So Marcel passed away just before the Wet album was completed, and it was a sad time. And Jeff was really upset about it, and he didn't know what the career was going to be like, and everything else was just on hold. So Comes Down Like Rain is written for him. That's his song, and because that was written prior to his death. So the Wet album was completed. The Wet album was a great, tremendous success. It was a great album. And then Eric Martinson, the producer, and his guitarist, Magnus, fucking superb guitarist. They were writing an album at the time for Jimmy Jameson. And then I think Eclipse was about to do an album. They did an album that reached it so well, was called Bleeding Scream. And then Eric was working with Jimmy Jameson at the time. and they did an album for him. Now, this was so weird as we came around. So I did the album, they completed it, and it was done. A year later, Eric Martinson goes back in the studio with Magnus Henriksen, and they work on a project they want to do for Marcel, which must have been probably prior to when. No, actually, it was after. No, it was actually before the album was done. So Eric and Magnus were working on a project for Marcel to do. Marcel Jacob. And it was a Talisman album that we're going to do. It was Talisman. And I didn't realize till later on that this was an album for him, which is interesting. In fact, this is for Talisman fans, actually. And Eric did an interview with a great radio station, and he talked about this massive thing, and he said, we were in the process writing an album, like a Talisman album, for Marcel Jacob to do, and it was written for him, but he lost his life. So Eric goes back in the studio with Magnus, have a meeting, and they discussed it, and they said that I think what we should do is we should do an album for Marcel Jacob. We should do an album for his life, his legacy. And they listened to every Talisman album. They go back in the archives, they listen to every Talisman album, the bass parts, everything. They started up from the very beginning to the very end. And then a few days. This was genius. This Marcel is not Eric Martinson and Magnus go in the studio. They write. They've got. 2 seconds. Right, sorry about that, mate. Sorry, I was just had a bit of a thing. Right, so anyway, getting back to what I was saying. So Marcel and Eric, I've got a piece of paper in the hand. They're writing down all the chord structures for the bass parts for what's his name? Marcel's bass parts. They go through every single part, every single bit, including Human Clay, to the albums that listen to it. They're writing down all these bits of paper, they're writing down the chord structures, they're writing down everything. They go through every single thing that Marcel was doing at the time, all those bass bits. So the band had a meeting. He had a meeting with the band. Eric Martinson had a meeting with the band, and he said, for the past couple of days, we've been writing down. We're listening to Talisman albums. We've been listening to the Talisman stuff, and he said, "I've got a great idea. I think I know what we're going to do next, and we should do it for the Japanese. We should do it for the Japanese because Japanese loved Talisman so much, and we should do a Talisman album for his dedicated to Marcel Jacob because it's that basic album that should be for him." And the band were a bit funny about it. It says, "Well, wait a minute. We're a hard rock band, and we should be doing our own music." And I said, yeah, but listen, if we do this, we can give it to the Japanese. So again, they were fumbling around, they were thinking about the ideas, and then Eric says, well, we started working on a track that was kind of a talisman idea. And it was called Hometown Calling. That's what it was called. And Magnus has just done this bit on the guitar, which he's just done it in one take, and he's just done this great riff. And he's learned this from talisman ideas and talisman songs. And so they were saying, well, let's hear it. And so we're playing in the studio. Magnus just played Magnus's solo guitar, and he just and he did all this business, and they heard it and they went, "Oh my god, that's amazing! How do you do that?" And I said, "That's all the talisman risks we were telling about and everything else." So anyway, so after that, they then said, "Oh, I like this stuff. Oh, well, let's hear some more stuff." But so we'll play some talisman stuff, and we'll hear this. And they played "I'll Be Waiting," and then they played "Fabricated War," and all the songs. They loved it, and the band, they said, "Well, let's go and play some of these tracks and see what we can come up with some ideas." And then Magnus again was on it straight away. So Eric called up Frontiers Records, and he said, I'd like to do. Our band has just been listening to Talisman a lot, and they've got great reputation as being a great band. We have an idea that might work very well, but we wondered if Jeff would be able to do it. So anyway, they poached the idea again. They played the track that he did, and he says, "I want you to listen to this, Serafino, and listen to what Magnus has done on this track." And he plays it to him, right? And literally, he's freaking out on the phone. And I says, "Guys, what is this? This is what we'd like to do for Marcel Jacob." And he said, "Oh yeah, because he's passed away, isn't he?" And I said, "Yeah. Well, if you guys want to do this, do it. Do the album, and you dedicate it to him." And I said, "Yeah." I said, "The only thing we don't want to do in the credits is we don't want to put his name on, because they don't know that this is for him." And they said, "Oh, but that's a good idea. That we won't say." And we don't want to tell Jeff either. We don't want to tell Jeff. We want to keep this as a secret. And I said, "But I think Jeff needs to know." So anyway, Jeff was on tour at the time because he wasn't available to take calls. And I think Eric was trying to get in touch with them and to say, "No, sorry, that Marcel's passed away," and everything else, which he did. And we'll hope to work again in the future with another web project. So, this is how this album came around. So Eclipse didn't want to do another heavy metal album. They wanted to do something different, and it was. So they started working on "Are You Ready to Rock," the album, which was released. Frontiers brought it out. And so Marcel was in spirit. And then I think they did they started working on a track, and that was called Call the Wild. That was the first one they did. I don't know what's going on there. Anyway, I was just saying. So anyway, so Eric and Magnus are working together on the songs. Went in the studio, we're doing that. The first one was Call the Wild. and it was completely talisman, and it was really clever how they recreated all the songs. I'm talking about the band Eclipse, by the way. Eclipse is the band that Eric Martinson started. With the first album we did was they had a good reputation actually for being a great band, and that's actually Eclipse. Eclipse brought out an album called Bleed and Scream, and so anyway, Eric Martinson and Magnus did this album called Are You Ready to Rock, which is a Talisman tribute. ELCIPSE, Eclipse. Yeah, not Eclipse, Eclipse, as in the eclipse of the world. And he was basically, they were recording the album, and then I think someone contacted Jeff or somebody. I'm thinking about it, and Jeff rang Eric, I think, and he said, I hear you guys are you're doing something in the studio. What are you doing? I said, we've been writing this thing that's an album that we are thinking about for Marcel Jacob. And he says, oh, this is something I haven't heard before. And I said, we didn't want to tell you because we didn't want to tell you because we thought that you wouldn't want to hear this. And I said, well, Talisman was everything to me that I had. And if you have got stuff that you guys are working on, send me over the songs and I'll listen to it. This is how weird this happened. And he said, yeah, we're just doing this first track called Call the Wild, and we just come up with this great idea we've been writing out all the parts for Marcel's bass parts, and we're learning the bass parts for it and learning how to play. And he said, well, can you email over that track to me and I'll listen to it? And he said, yeah, we're doing it. Well, once we get it finished and finalized, we'll send it to you. The first one he sent was that one. And Jeff rings back and he says, God, that is amazing. You've learned this within like a few days. I says, no, we took a week to learn all these things. We wanted to learn the bass parts from Marcel itself. So then he says, but if you guys want to do this for him, I'd like to just put I don't want you to write. I don't want to write anything. I haven't got time to write. If you bring this something to me and I'll listen to it, I'll bring it to me then. But I'll tell you what, if you do this, I'm happy to give you the compliment I can give you, which is thank you very much. So anyway, hangs the phone up. There you go back in the studio. All the songs are done. Few weeks later, Serafino rings up and he says, have you guys finished the album? I says, yep, we finished it. He says, we'll send it to you now. Let you hear the tracks. And we sent them to Jeff as well, because Jeff wanted to know what was going on. And he said, oh, yeah, great. We'll let him hear it. So it was sent to Jeff. And he called back Eric. And I said, you guys have got to release this album. You've got to get this album, because this is for Marcel. And I really think this should be released. And I says, I know we want to bring it out. We want to bring it out as his memory. We learned all the songs and all the Talisman riffs. We just want to bring this out as his memory. Anyway, Serafino rings up. They compliment. They say, this album, these songs are fantastic. Get this out. We've got to release this. So they bring it out. They bring it out in the first week, and the album the album was a shock to everybody. And after they heard it, they just went nuts. Japan went crazy. They said, "This is Talisman back. This is really good." And that album, I listened to that album recent couple of years ago, and it's absolutely brilliant. It's good for Marcel Jacob, really. So check it out. It's good. It's called Are You Ready to Rock? It's one of Talisman's really amazing songs at the albums he did. Right, guys, I have to go now, I'm afraid. I've got to end the stream because I've got to disappear. Thank you very much to Adrian coming on. Thanks, guys, for coming on. I've got to go because time is getting on, and I'll see you guys soon for another great stream. Cheers, guys. Bye.